Hello, embodied woman. Welcome back. Super excited as always. I feel like I always start it with I'm super excited, but I am really excited. I have a really awesome guest for you today. I have just spent over 14 weeks with this woman inside of the Embodied Coach, and I really got to see the importance of her work, the power of her, and like I got to see her blossom into this really powerful leader. So I'm really excited to bring on Katie Williams. Hello, my love. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Really, really looking forward to this conversation because, as you know, I told you this earlier, we've never had a conversation about your niche before. So I'm so excited about it.
Yes, me too. It's one of my favorite topics ever, so I'm really looking forward to just diving into it.
Beautiful. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got into this work?
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Katie Williams. I'm a femininity and fertility educator, and I am the matriarch of my brand, Katie the Creatress. Basically, I was not always a coach. I do a lot of coaching work now, but I started my journey as an intuitive. And this began when I was in my early teens. I got really into spirituality and manifestation. And then as I got into my later teens, I kind of forgot about it. And then I was in college for dance. I transferred colleges 3 times. And then when everything happened with the pandemic, I know that's like a cliche kind of statement now. Everyone like found themselves during the pandemic, but I was like, you know what? This isn't working. I love dance, but it's not the right career for me. And I saw that someone on Instagram had shared a post from an intuitive reader. And I was like, ooh, let me get a reading. Let me see what this is all about. And I really enjoyed it. And I started to learn about intuition, tapping into my intuition. I grew a deep love for communicating with spirit babies, which are the souls of unborn children. So there are mediums who communicate with souls who have crossed over. I do the opposite. So I communicate with the souls who are going to come into the next lifetime. And that is a major part of my work today. As an intuitive and an energetic healer, at the same time, I was starting to heal a lot of things related to my femininity. So I was struggling with painful periods, I was struggling with painful sex. I was very closed off to other people. And I started to combine the healing of my feminine energy with intuition. And that ended up broadening out into putting some somatic work in there and then getting into coaching. So I have like this trio, I like to call it, of combining intuitive work, somatic work, and coaching. And now I help women to do the same. I help women to tune into their feminine energy and also the magnetism of their fertility, because we'll get into it in this podcast. But as I started to tap into the energy of my feminine energy and my fertility, manifestations started coming easier. I started to feel so much more light and free. So, the mission of my work is to help women to conceive the 3D existence of their desires, whether that is in the form of a career or a house or actually calling in the next generation.
So beautiful. I'm just literally sitting over here in awe over you because obviously, like, I've got to experience you working with you, but to hear you like own your expertise and just beauty, like, do you know, like, you guys know, for me, it is so hard to eloquently and confidently tell people about what you do. You know what I mean? Like that, it's so challenging to do that. And to hear you just so confidently, boldly, clearly deliver what it is that you do, I'm just in awe over you. It's beautiful. I loved that. So let's get into one of the main topics that we have never talked about on the podcast before, which is spirit babies. A lot of my clients, a lot of the people I've had on are intuitives, but like you said, a lot of people connect with like mediums for people in the afterlife. And I'm very curious about one, how you got like, what was the driving force to be like, oh, like, holy shit, I'm connecting with spirit babies. And then what does that look like? Like, talk us through the experience.
Yeah, so one of the things that mainly led me to feeling so drawn to communicating with spirit babies is just the fact that my whole life I have desired to be a mother. I'm 21 years old, so I don't have children of my own yet, but it's always been probably the number one desire that I have had. And when I started to dive into intuitive work, I was doing a lot of like oracle card readings and tarot card readings. And I remember I had this angel deck and it would have answers on there like yes, no, in a year, connect with your angels, like just very straightforward guidance statements. So one day I was doing some readings and I said to myself, what if I reach out to my future children? What would that look like? Let's experiment with that a little bit. And so I started to do readings through the oracle cards to connect with my spirit babies. And then I remember starting to implement the intuitive abilities that I already had and knew how to do and applied it to this concept of spirit babies. So when communicating with a spirit baby, it's just like communicating with a spirit guide or an angel or the universe. And spirit babies operate from a very high consciousness, and they are always coming from a place of love. One of my favorite things about spirit babies is that they are blunt, whether they have to give you tough love or whether they are giving you reassurance, whatever it is, they are just so open and honest for the sake of your highest good. So even if there are women listening to this who are like, I'm not trying to conceive, maybe connecting with spirit babies isn't right for me, I would still highly recommend doing it because they are still our guides. They are our guides in the astral realms, just like our spirit guides and angels. So that is like the level that they are on. They're here to guide us and to advise us before they come into this lifetime. So there are a variety of different ways that we can connect with spirit babies. And for each person, you will find that there are like one or two main ways that your spirit baby likes to communicate with you. So for me personally, I know that my spirit baby daughter loves to communicate in the form of ladybugs. And I remember, I think it was last February, we had like a huge blizzard. There was nothing to do. So I was like, you know what? Let me go in meditation and spend some time with my spirit baby. And I kid you not, after that meditation, only 20 minutes later, there was a ladybug on the window of the apartment, and this ladybug was outside.
Oh,
And I'm gonna remind you, it was like 10 degrees out. So I'm like, where did this ladybug come from? So synchronicities start occurring in that way. They love to communicate in all different forms, whether that's through numbers or animals or music, dance. There's just endless possibilities in how our spirit babies communicate with us.
so cool. I'm like, because we think of this concept of like, okay, give me a sign if I'm on the right path, or, and we're always asking the universe. But I think there's something so powerful and unique about connecting with your spirit baby, because especially if you are someone who is like changing your lineage, like I do a lot of work in like ending generational lack and scarcity, and like to be able to connect with my future children on that plane of like, hey, like I'm doing this for you too, and for them to give that those signs and reassurance. Like I just think that is so powerful. And I mean, especially I know you said that you do not have to want children right now in order to connect with your spirit babies, but I think especially for the people who are trying to conceive, I think that it's just such a special gift that you can give to them.
It's also so potent to just recognize that they are choosing us. They are choosing us in this lifetime. So, what makes the difference between a soul who we're communicating with that has crossed over versus a soul who we label as a spirit baby is that they have made the decision to have another lifetime and to come into the next lifetime. So when we are communicating with a soul who is a crossover loved one, they are obviously no longer in their physical body, but they are still operating from the memories and the consciousness of that person. And as a soul, we will continue to carry these memories, but it's a different essence and it's a different intention. It's this soul saying, okay, I am ready to let go of this identity and come into a new one. And when they choose to come into a new identity, they will also choose a life purpose. That life purpose is not, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a musician. It's not how we perceive it. It can be something like, I want to use my voice. I want my voice to be a huge impact on the world. I want to move people. I want to make people change the way they think. And in that, there are a variety of different physical possibilities. So, the spirit babies who are coming in now, especially, are choosing paths that require a lot of shaking up. These spirit babies are highly intelligent, they are highly aware. And if you're in the spiritual community, you may see that a lot of people who have these bigger platforms in spirituality are having children and getting pregnant all at the same time, it seems like. And that's not pure coincidence. They are choosing to do this.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it's so true. Like you see like everyone's getting pregnant at the exact same time who are really, really like, I guess, leading the way or paving the path of the new world in a lot of ways. Okay, so I'm really, really curious what you can do for someone in a reading. Like, is it obviously connecting with the spirit baby, but are you able to like tell the energy, masculine, feminine? Are you able to tell what the purpose is? Like, what is that? Oh, also, I was going to say too, on the purpose part, I do want you to answer that question, but I'm reading the book right now, Inspiration by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And this is all about how every single being has a purpose. And sometimes the purpose is to be of healing. Sometimes the purpose is to be of enlightenment. Sometimes the purpose is to actually cause pain for enlightenment to happen. Like there's it's a great book. But that just sparked that thought, because this book is literally talking about how every soul has a unique purpose. Anyways, tell me about how the readings work.
So, the number one key part of doing a reading is simply just being open to connecting with that soul. It is as easy as if I were to pick up the phone and call you, for example, just dial some buttons and be like, hey, Sarah, what's up? And in the reading, what I do is I connect to source energy, which is the energy of the universe, and I connect to the energy from the earth to keep myself grounded during the reading. And then I put on an energetic bubble just so that way I'm not taking on any other types of energy during the reading. And then I set the intention to connect with the spirit baby that wants to come through. And they are always so excited during these readings because they're like, oh my gosh, yes, like they're reaching out, they're calling me, like, let's have a chat. It's that much fun. Some spirit babies like to speak in visuals, and I'm a very visual person too. So I will often communicate with spirit babies through visuals and through imagination. Others like to speak a lot. So they may speak in just singular words that you piece together or in phrases. But for the main part in a reading, it's all about piecing things together, whether you are communicating with spirit babies or not. Intuition and intuitive readings are all about interpreting symbolism and connecting the pieces, so to speak. Another thing that spirit babies love to do is show a name that they either love to go by right now or that they want to be known by. And there have been multiple times in readings where a name will come through and I will tell my client and they will be like, oh my gosh, that sounds just like this name that I really like or that person that I know. And so it's crazy when that happens, but it's a very easy energetic flow. There isn't a really comprehensive process to this. It's just being open. And I think working on feminine energy as well helps to break down those walls and to just be open to what spirit babies have to say. And that is very helpful, especially with timing. And there are so many women who are not getting pregnant easily or quickly, and it can be very draining and tiring, and you don't know if you should give up.
Yeah.
And sometimes in a reading, a spirit baby will reflect back to you like, hey, you need to take some time to heal this or to heal that. It's not a set time frame. Of course, in a reading, it can be interpreted because they give us answers based on what they see in our highest self and us following through on our highest path. So in a reading, it may come through that it is possible for someone to conceive in 6 months, but the spirit baby isn't concerned about the 6 months. They are concerned about where you currently are and the divine timing of everything.
That gives me chills because I know that like time is all ego because it doesn't actually exist. And when like you say that, like the baby isn't worried about the 6 months or like they're the spirit, the soul isn't concerned about the timing. It's concerned about who you're being. And oh, I love that so much. Okay, so that's so cool that they'll be like, here, I like to be called this. And so you've had people be like, okay, like that's the name of my child, or like, yeah, that's so cool. Oh, I love that. Okay, so one of the biggest pieces of this, my dog is going crazy. One of the biggest pieces of this is the fertility piece, but you don't teach fertility in the sense of like, I mean, maybe you do being fertile for a child, but you teach fertility in all facets of life. So I'd love for you to speak to that for a moment.
Yes, so our fertility is the essence of the universe in our human body. So the core energy of fertility is creation, and creation is how we got here, it's how the universe works. And in recent years, both for men and women, there has been a shaming of fertility. Women want to get rid of their periods. Men's testosterone levels are dipping. But when we ignore or shame our fertility, we are also dimming the light of our creative energy and our creative force. And this was a realization that I had when I channeled a womb manifestation practice. And after doing this multiple times and experiencing so many quantum leaps in short periods of time, I recognized, oh, my womb can not only just create physical human life, but it can create the life of the things that I desire. And just to name a few, I have manifested a house, I've manifested 5 figures with manifesting with my womb. And the crazy part is, all of this, every single manifestation happened in a 2 to 3 week time frame of doing the practice when I was ovulating.
Wow.
And it clicked to my mind that 2 to 3 weeks is the average time frame that it would take for a woman to conceive and to then find out that she is pregnant with a physical child. And that is when it really clicked for me. But I also don't see this as like a quick fix solution. I think the reason why it has been so effective for me personally is because of doing the work in healing my fertility, both physically and energetically, taking my periods from being extremely painful to not even having cramps, bloating, nausea, you name it, it's just completely gone. And so creating that trust in my body and embracing my fertility rather than pushing it away has enhanced the overall creative energy in my life.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I mean, you've told me about the womb manifestation meditation, right? It's a meditation.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've told me about this, and I'm curious, one, how can people get their hands on this? And two, is there a way for them to start, like maybe some tangible tips on how they can start to connect with their fertility, heal their fertility, and use that power, that creative energy to, as you said earlier, and I love the way you said this, bring their desires into the 3D existence?
So, the first thing that can be done is understanding the current state of your body and personifying it. So, for example, if your period were a person, what would your relationship with them currently be like? How did that relationship come to be? And how can you start to mend that relationship? Because it's not your fault that you had a bad introduction to menstruation or fertility. It was just that you formed an opinion that isn't entirely true, but now you have the chance to mend that relationship. So that would be step number one, is mending the relationship that you have with your menstruation, with your womb, with your fertility, and with your body. And also sexuality, because if we can heal our sexuality, we can heal anything, because the essence of that is also creation and being. For manifesting with the womb, some tangible practices that you can start implementing are yoni egg practices. So, yonis are crystals in the shape of an egg, and you would insert these into your yoni just like a tampon, but only leave them in for 20-30 minutes. You don't want to overdo it. And that helps to tone the pelvic floor. So, it's very good for physical health, but it also brings your awareness down to that space of your body that maybe you've been ignoring for a while. And oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. I'm sorry, I'm like talking and
I
she's just like
know. I was like, I
opposite
tried to put her down, but she is just too like, let me be in the spotlight. I want to do this podcast interview. She is
She is
so funny.
more than welcome. Animals love this topic.
They
They're just like
do.
always in on it.
I love it. I love it. Sorry for the interruption there. Y'all know Rosie is like, she's so funny. I love her. Carry on, my dear.
Yeah, no problem. So that is a tangible practice that you can start doing. So that way you can get comfortable with your body and with your yoni. And in my journey personally with experiencing pain and anxiety during sex in the past, it was very, very scary to feel my body expand and to feel in ways that I didn't know were possible. But by leaning into that, I was able to create a new sense of trust and freedom in the body. So that is where you can start, because that will definitely um filter into the womb manifestation practices, because instead of seeing your womb as something that causes you pain every month or that is working against you, you are coming into this with the belief of my body is always working with me. My womb loves me. It takes care of me. It shows me anything I need to know. And that filters into the womb manifestation practice. Now, how you can get your hands on the womb manifestation practice are two ways. One, I have a free meditation on my website that you can go and download. And the second way is I'm currently holding the Creatress program. As of right now, we are recording 4 live modules. Each module is around 4 classes with the potential for more modules to be included. But in 2 of the modules, The Universe and I and Cosmically Conceived, we are going to learn how to use both our sexual energy and our fertility energy to manifest. And that is the program where you will learn my signature womb manifestation practice called energetic conception, where during our ovulation, we are envisioning the universe impregnating us with our desire.
Ooh,
And
I love
honestly, it's
that.
the coolest thing ever. I
Oh,
am blown away every single time. So that is the second way that you can get your hands on the practice.
so amazing. And I would love to put the link for that free meditation that you have in the show notes, along with the link to the Creatress. And I know you mentioned the two, the universe and I, and cosmically conceived. What are the other two that are in there?
The other two are womb wisdom and menstruation magic. So we have already begun womb wisdom, but if you want to enroll in any of the modules individually, you can do so. But obviously, you would get the full effect in the Creators program. So in womb wisdom, we learn how to tap into our intuition through the womb. So we learn how to use clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance to tap into our womb and essentially allow our womb to guide us intuitively. And then menstruation magic is all about period healing, both physically and energetically. So we're going to learn how to create a healthier relationship with our period, as well as understanding our hormones and the different physical symptoms that you may be experiencing during your period. And the reason why these 2 modules are included is to create that trust and safety in the body that we were talking about. So once we get into the fun stuff of the manifesting and creating and doing these sensual practices, we are able to welcome in our manifestations.
So incredible. That is going to change so many women's lives. Like I know personally, just as far as like all of those things, right? Like understanding the wisdom that our womb holds. Oh my gosh, like there's just so much that lives inside us. Like we have all of the answers. And then I know there are a lot of women who are really struggling with their periods, and we shouldn't have to. It wasn't meant for suffering. And it actually gets to be a really sacred experience. And I know that Katie could be the catalyst to your period being a more sacred and healing and abundant experience. And then I just love the universe and I. You know, I always say the universe is your sugar daddy. So that just sounds like right up my alley. And then consciously, I'm sorry, not consciously, cosmically conceived, right?
Mhm.
So good. I love it. That sounds like such a juicy program. And I have watched the Creatress evolve and get into so much deeper alignment for you. And that just excites me because I know that the woman inside of the Creatress, their lives are never going to look the same in the best possible way. That sounds so juicy. Okay, is there anything else that you want to make sure that we add on either the topic of spirit babies or fertility that you want to dive deeper into?
So, lastly, for Spirit Babies, I am hosting a 4-week Spirit Baby program beginning on December 29th. So, if Spirit Babies is something that you want to dive more into, maybe you're even an intuitive looking to expand your gifts and abilities, we will be starting on December 29th.
Beautiful. And do you host readings for people to connect with their spirit babies as well?
Yes, so I do host one-on-one sessions where in our 1 hour together, we would start off doing an intuitive reading with your spirit baby. And then in the second half, we would move into an energetic practice of meditating and connecting with our spirit baby on a spiritual level. I said our spirit baby, but I mean, collectively, they're all our spirit babies.
I love that. I love that. That sounds so amazing. Well, Katie, this has been so insightful and so valuable. And like, again, I'm just in awe over you and your ability to communicate something that seems very, very woo-woo and spiritual, but make it so grounded and clear and digestible. I know that the people listening to this are gonna be like, oh shit, I think I want some of that. I have no doubt. So where can they get in touch with you? What is the best place for them to contact you?
So I'm very active on Instagram. You can find me at Katie the Creatress, or you could go to my website, katiethecreatress.podia.com. I'm also on Pinterest, YouTube, and it's the same username as Instagram.
Beautiful. And that'll be in the show notes for you guys because I know you're gonna want to go and give her a follow and check out her work. Now what I would love to do is hear about what your experience has been like with working with me as your mentor. Because we spent 14 weeks together inside of my business mentorship program. And then we took like a week off, and then you were like, I want some more. So I just would love to hear your experience and what it was like to be inside of that container and work with me. And yeah, we'll start there. We'll start there and see where it goes.
Yeah, so at first, when I came across the Embodied Coach program, I remember we did our discovery call, and then I was like, I don't think now is the right time. I'm gonna pass on it. And then I sat on it for like, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, okay, I want in. When I first came into the program, I was just scattered all over the place. I was like, I love to teach about all the things, but like it doesn't feel structured. It feels like it's wishy-washy. And I also didn't feel very grounded in my ability to create the things that I wanted to create. Coming into the program, it was a point in my life where I had seen things evolve before in my business, and I wanted to take it further. And to be honest, when I first joined the program, I was very focused on the material things. I was like, I want to join the program so I can manifest the 5K months and the 10K months. And while those are completely valid goals and we should go for them if that's what you desire, what I got out of the program was so much more. It was about having faith in myself and my business, and especially with the growth of my signature program, The Creatress, having Sarah in my corner helped me to get more and more and more and more clear. And in that clarity, there was a lot of freedom that I found. So even though I came into the program wanting these material things that I still desire to achieve, I got something more out of it. I had my faith in myself restored again, and I had the faith in my business restored again. And Sarah was always motivating and loving at the same time, like the perfect balance of yin and yang of I'm going to be loving and I'm going to be supportive, but I'm also going to challenge you and motivate you to keep growing and to keep doing more. And we ended the Embodied Coach in, I think it was the end of November.
Mhm.
And I was like, you know what? I need to be in Sarah's world again. I remember on our coaching call the other day, I was like, I said, I need to go back to working with the best for
Yeah.
some more time.
Yep, you sure did say that, and my heart was just like, "Ah!" I lit up so much. That's so beautiful. And to just see you step into your leadership. This was something that we worked together on towards the end of the Embodied Coach, was like really just owning the fact that you are confident, you are a leader, you are an expert, like you have really, really something of value to bring to this world, and to not just like know that, but embody it. And you have, like, I can feel that leadership essence from you, just like it's oozing out of you. And I mean, everything that you've created, I'll never forget when we first had our call. You said you wanted to be cracked wide open. And every time I have connection calls, like I really take note of what they personally want to get out of the experience. And I make sure to be very intentional with, okay, like Katie wants to be cracked wide open. Like let's initiate her into that opening. And I think that it happened more than once for you. Would you say this? Would you say that as well?
Yeah, at first, during our discovery call, I remember like my interpretation of being cracked wide open was like an eggshell, just one big crack and boom. But instead, it was more of like breaking ice.
Yeah.
One crack here, another crack here, another crack there, and eventually it just parts ways and we have the flow of the energetic river, I'm going to call it.
I like that analogy much better than an egg. So good. Well, Katie, thank you so much for that beautiful testimonial. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and just sharing your wisdom with my audience. I know they're going to be so appreciative of it as well. Um, any last lingering words or thoughts that you would like to share before we close it out?
I think the last thing I would like to share is in 2023, go big or go home.
Yeah.
That's my motto, and I'm sharing that with you guys.
I love it. Go big or go home. Yes, I'm so with you there. And like, do not let fear hold you back from living your most abundant, fertile life. Like that is your damn birthright. Make it happen. Make it happen, Captain. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. Share it with someone you love, like, download, subscribe, all of the things. And I just appreciate you for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.